The boardroom sat in suffocating silence, heavy with tension that clung to the walls like smoke. His voice cut through it, arrogant, booming, sharp as a scalpel. "This," he spat, ripping the contract in half with theatrical contempt, "is pathetic work. You're clearly not ready for the big leagues." Soft laughter flickered around the table. Not loud, but sharp enough to sting. I nodded once, slowly, deliberately. "You're absolutely right, sir." He smirked, believing he had won. What he didn't realize was that, at that very moment, he'd unknowingly signed his own execution. It all began 3 months earlier. I had come home to an empty apartment. No note, no goodbye, just a faint trace of her perfume lingering in the air, a half-finished bottle of wine, and her wedding ring left on the counter like an accessory she decided no longer suited her. I called her, no answer. Then her father called me in. My boss. He delivered the words like a man offering a mercy kill. "You need to stay focused on work," he said with hollow sympathy. "Sometimes people grow apart. She needs space." I nodded then too, but inside my chest burned cold. The story unraveled quickly. She filed for divorce, throwing vile accusations my way, claims of emotional abuse, manipulation, even threats to her career and safety. All of it fabricated. My colleagues pulled away. The whisper spread through the office like a slow-moving virus. Her father elevated her, promoted her, called her the future of this company. He cast me as unstable, unfit, undisciplined. The pitch I'd spent 6 months perfecting, the one that had already secured $2.8 million in funding, was publicly mocked, dismissed as immature, sloppy. But his cruelty wasn't content with erasure. He wanted humiliation. And I let him believe he had it. His mistake was the dinner. They thought I'd left for the evening. I hadn't. Hidden. I watched as she entered his office, laughing softly. "Pet project gone sour," she called me. Easier than I expected to spin the wounded husband narrative. He smiled as he poured her another glass of wine. "Emotion makes people sloppy," he said with chilling calm. That night, I didn't scream. I didn't shatter. I began thinking, and everything changed. First, I vanished from sight, deleted my social media, cleared out my desk without fanfare. No big announcements. I went invisible. I began to gather. Every call, every meeting, every inconsistency in her story. I documented it all. Then I reached out to an old friend from undergrad, a cyber forensics specialist now working security consulting. Together, we recovered deleted files from our shared cloud drive, text messages, emails, voice memos. In one, her voice dripped with arrogance. "He's too proud to fight back." That's what makes this so easy. But I didn't stop there. I found a former employee who had once signed an NDA after filing a harassment claim against her father. Quietly, I paid her rent for 6 months in exchange for her story. Brick by brick, I built the case like an architect. Precise, measured, leaving no loose ends. Then I waited. And now, back in that boardroom, it was time. He stood tall at the head of the table, confidence radiating from him like heat, surrounded by his hand-picked allies. "You think numbers alone win deals?" he sneered, tossing the shredded proposal across the polished table. I looked each board member in the eye, one by one. Calm, steady. "No," I said softly. "I think truth does." I slid a folder across the table. Start with page 3. Inside, full documentation. A complete investigative report. Timelines, bank statements, shell companies, 6 years of embezzlement, signed by him, approved by her. As they flipped through the pages, the air thickened with shock. Murmurs swirled, eyes widened, voices rose. The room shifted from discomfort to outrage. He tried to interrupt, his voice rising in panic. I cut him off. "Oh, and if you're wondering why the press is already outside," I said, my tone still calm, "it's because I emailed him 20 minutes ago." Her face went pale. He lunged across the table in desperation, but security stepped in before he reached me. I never moved. He resigned in disgrace. Regulatory bodies launched their investigations within a week. She lost her position, insisting she knew nothing, but the email said otherwise. The divorce settled quietly after that. I claimed everything she once swore I'd never touch again. The pitch? The $2.8 million? I took it to another firm, one that saw its true value. We went live last month. Broke even in 2 weeks. Now, we're expanding across 3 continents. I don't speak of them, not to reporters, not to friends. Only here, alone, when the city lights blink like old scars. The torn contract, the one he ripped with such arrogant satisfaction, hangs framed on the wall opposite my desk now. A silent reminder of what it costs to stay silent too long, and what it means to strike back when no one sees you coming. He thought destroying that piece of paper made him powerful. What he never realized was that I had already written the ending.